Quilters Newsletter TV, the Quilters community, is brought to you by Handy Quilter, designed by a quilter for quilters. Robert Kaufman Fabrics, quality fabrics for quilting. Sulky, express yourself with Sulky and create with confidence. And The Warm Company, inspiring products for creative people.
Today I am here to talk to you, along with my dear friend ZJ, about what could have been a disaster that ended up being saved thanks to ZJ's expertise. She is the owner and operator of Dream Stitcher Studios. And let me just give you a little backstory about this wonderful quilt that we have here in front of us. So I made this quilt and I experimented with a couple new things. One was broderie purse applique, which I had never done before and I enjoyed doing very much. And the other thing that I wanted to do was a pillowcase binding because I wanted a very sharp finish. So I went through my layering, I sewed it, I did the pillowcase turn, I was all set, and I said to myself, I'm going to quilt this myself. So I basted it, I even basted, and I was all set, I had it all ready, and then I chickened out. I froze. I thought, if I try to quilt this myself, who knows what could happen? So I put it away for several months and I went back and forth, and finally I realized that I just was not brave enough to quilt it myself. So I called ZJ and begged for her help, and then when I got her over the phone to say, well, sure, I'll take a look at it, I thought, now we're in business. So when she came to look at the quilt, I said, look, it has a pillowcase binding, and the look that she gave me was classic. Let me just show you real quick what a pillowcase binding is. And that is, basically it looks like a pillowcase when you turn it with the edges. And you turn it, there's no binding, and you end up with this beautiful knife edge. I don't know if you can see this along here, but it's a beautiful finish. I had found this wonderful striped fabric that I wanted to use to make this look as if it was a window frame and that you were actually looking out a window. And so here I had done all this work, and now I had a mess on my hands. So ZJ, I said, help me, how can we fix this? And I thought, no problem, she'll put it on the machine. And that turns out is not the case.
No, one of the worst nightmares for any long arm quilter is if somebody has layered and basted or pinned the 3 layers together, because on a long arm machine we do it in separate layers and we actually have to attach it to 3 different rollers on the machine. So she already had this together. The first thought was to have her take out all the basting and undo the pillowcase turn, but she was under a deadline to get the quilt done for the magazine, and there was more chance that she would have ruined her beautiful edge with all the ripping or unsewing, whatever you prefer.
Exactly. So how do you fix what I did? I thought I did the right thing, but I didn't.
I took a deep breath first. And then we decided that what I would have her do is make, you want to make strips and you want to cut them absolutely even all the way down of a minimum of 4 inches, maybe even a little bit more, but whatever you do, be consistent. And then we would sew them onto the edge of the
right onto the
quilt.
Edge of the quilt.
So we're going to pin this to kind of simulate it. And I wanted her to stay no more than a 1/4 inch, preferably 1/8 of an inch for her seam when she stitched this, and to use a touch longer, maybe about a 3/0 to a 4/0 on the domestic machine, but not quite a basting stitch. So
this did save me a lot of ripping out. So
when I turn it back, it makes a leader for the machine, so I can attach the clamps, I can attach it to the rollers. The only problem is I couldn't quilt in very close, because if my machine hits into here, the quilting isn't going to come out.
Oh,
so
okay, so once you got it on the machine,
we did a few things.
Okay, so first of all, let's look at the broderie purse applique,
all right,
because that was something that I really loved and I didn't want it to get lost.
So for the broderie purse, I took some metallic thread and I highlighted everywhere the gold was in this particular print to pop the birds and give them a little more depth. And then for the overall quilting, we wanted an antique look. Rather than doing a stipple, which is a little bit boring, we did just a free motion, willy-nilly type of quilting, which gives it movement, gives it a little more elegance.
Okay.
Then I took the design from the bird, and I found I have a computerized machine, so I had it transformed into a design that could be repeated in the open block. Originally we'd thought about a feather or a
something to showcase that open
snowflake.
Block. Right, or snowflake.
But we came up with this, and I did it in a gold thread to kind of highlight the birds but still be subtle, and then quilt around it to give it the same poof look.
Okay. Now I did think I wanted snowflakes, but this ended up being a surprise. That when I saw this, I was like, those are not snowflakes, but it works wonderfully. So then but I wanted the traditional too, so you address that with the straight lines?
Well, and there was a couple things I did. By repeating the pattern here, it emphasized the design, but it also toned it down because a snowflake would have brought in even more elements and really distracted the viewer. The straight line is a simple quilting. It kept the traditional look, and it also emphasized the design of our piecing.
My fabulous piecing.
Your fabulous piecing, absolutely. Then I took the straight line and repeated it out here in the border print.
Do you want to bring that up?
Sure, let's look at it from this angle.
Okay.
The border print, this whole area is actually her border, even though it looks like two separate ones. To reinforce that, I did stitch in the ditch along here and here. And then, so that makes this appear more puffy and like a traditional border. And then I just repeated the straight line out here to re-emphasize the straight line quilting that we did in the interior. Repetition of design is a very good artistic element. It also didn't make this busy because she wanted this beautiful wheat design to show. And then to really tie it all together, I did the holly in the border in the gold thread to give a little more Christmas and pick up what was going on with the cardinals. And that's how it came together. And hopefully, Jolie, you've been enjoying your quilt.
Actually, I have been thrilled with it, and my editor was thrilled with it too, thankfully, and thanks to you, because this quilt will also be in the Best Quilts for Christmas issue 2012, and that is actually going to be on newsstands now. And if it wasn't for you, this would probably still be folded up in the bottom of my quilting to be quilted pile, but thanks to you, it is going to be in the magazine, and I think it turned out beautifully, and I am so pleased with it. So
I'm glad you're enjoying it, and it was a beautiful, beautiful quilt to work on, and I hope you have many years of enjoyment from it, Jolie.
I will, thanks to you. So again, this will be in the Best Quilts for Christmas 2012, also available on our website at quiltandsewshop.com. And the next time I have a quilting problem, I am going to take it to my Longarm expert.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing you.
Yes. Thank you.
Quilters Newsletter TV, the quilters community, is brought to you by Handy Quilter, designed by a quilter for quilters. Robert Kaufman Fabrics, quality fabrics for quilting. Sulky, express yourself with Sulky and create with confidence. And The Warm Company, inspiring products for creative people.